Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of Beware the Board, a horror podcast where we watch a randomly selected horror movie every single week. I'm Bob.
I'm Ben.
Heyo.
Hello.
You sound
You did this
sound
last week. You just
sad.
laughed at the beginning.
No, you just sound so sad, Ben.
Okay, when do I not sound sad? But also, it's the end of the semester, and I got like 4 pages. Not 4 pages. 4
whole
papers.
pages.
4 papers due.
Why don't you work on those?
Because I'm here. You bitch.
God damn.
No,
Okay.
Yeah.
You got anything you want to talk about before we go to the? I have one thing I want to talk about, and it's horror-ish.
Oh, I actually have news.
Ah, sweet.
First of all, Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria.
Oh my god.
5 Nights at Freddy's.
Okay.
The sequel finally got officially confirmed, and it's like,
They're actually making it.
I think it's fall like 2025.
Jesus Christ.
Of course they're making it. That made money hand over fist.
Yeah, but it wasn't very good.
Well, here's the thing. I didn't like it.
That's fair.
I think it was objectively not a great film. But from everyone I've heard from who's like a fan and knows like the lore and stuff, it's great. So I think it did a lot to appease the fans, just not to
a general audience.
I'm sure I think it's a good probably gateway for younger people though. But as an adult with no knowledge of 5 Nights at Freddy's, it was not good. But sequel, so that's cool, I guess. Guess what's getting a remake?
Oh no, what is it, Ben?
The Blair Witch Project.
Oh, what the fuck?
Coming from Blumhouse.
Why are they remaking it?
Money.
I mean, yeah, okay, fair enough, I guess.
It's Blumhouse and money. Aren't they the ones who did Halloween?
Yeah, they did.
So,
they're the ones that did the new Halloween
similar
trilogy.
thing. I'm not sure what the deal is there. Because I'm going to be honest here. Blair Witch is one of those films that you either like it or you think it's a boring piece of hot garbage.
Yep.
And objectively, the reason that film succeeded is kind of early internet and viral marketing working together to create like a perfect storm. I'm not sure how well a remake is going to turn out, right? Because there's been Blair Witch is a franchise, right? There's games and there's sequels and, debatable quality on those sequels, especially the second one. I mean, the IP is interesting, so it could turn out well, but it's definitely going to be a very different movie, assumedly, if it wants to succeed.
I mean, yeah, it has to be, because, like, isn't a lot of people's problems with Blair Witch that it's just, like, nothing happens?
Yeah.
Like, it's just, like, a boring piece of shit?
That's what I said. You either are like, oh my god, this is so boring, or, oh my god, this is the scariest thing ever. I'm so tense.
I'm probably in that
You're
camp.
going to be in that second category. I just know, because we just watched a bunch of, like, pretty slow suspense films.
Yeah.
I mean, the McPherson tapes fits in a very similar category of nothing fucking happens. But Bob was shitting a brick.
Yep. And also, it's another film that fits in that category is fucking Skinamarink, and that is probably the most scared I've ever been in a movie.
So I think it'll scare you. But
like, that and Ghost Watch, which is weird for me to say.
I thought I should mention that.
Okay. I'm glad that that's happening, I guess. Not that we've seen the Blair Witch on this podcast. So I have no idea whether or not I'll be afraid of it or anything. But I don't know when we're going to get around to that one, honestly. I kind of expected it to be in this season, but it's not. So
I specifically said when I proposed the category that it was stuff before Blair Witch.
yeah, I know, but I kind of expect
you
to troll me a little bit and put it in there anyway.
I don't outright lie.
Bend the truth a little sometimes, maybe.
No, I let you believe falsehoods that you've tricked yourself into believing.
Okay. All right. The only thing I have is there's that new Ghostbusters movie. What is it? Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, I think it's called.
I don't know.
I saw it with my dad. It was actually pretty okay. Like, it was not a bad movie. I was surprised.
Well, that's good to hear.
So if you're like a Ghostbusters fan, it's cool. They pull a lot of people. There's actually a lot of really famous people in that movie, which is weird.
Well, yeah, it's Ghostbusters.
But
they were willing to pay a lot.
I guess I wasn't expecting how many fairly famous. Like, I recognized a lot of people and went, damn, that's weird for me because, it's me. I don't watch movies.
Yeah.
So, like.
You've never seen a movie in your life.
You know who was in it?
Who?
A star from Dude Bro Party Massacre 3. Patton Oswalt is in the new movie.
Oh. Is
And
he
was-
the detective, like, police chief guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw him and I went, oh. All I could think about was Duber Party Massacre 3, and I was like, Jesus Christ, that movie's ruined my perception of Patton Oswalt. But no, I was surprised by like how genuinely entertaining and fun it was. It's not, of course, a scary movie because it's a Ghostbusters film, but it's just fun. Now we get to do the podcast part of the podcast.
Yeah. All right, we got 2 categories left
True.
because we finished early found footage. We have 1 left in Cannibals, and we got 2 left in Romero, which we have been putting off because, oh my God, Romero makes long movies.
Yeah, but we're going there today
Yeah.
because I been talking about spacing Cannibals out. Ben has like kind of convinced me. Not kind of. He has
Yeah.
convinced me. I'm going to save that last Cannibal spot for the end of the season just to see how bad or horrific it really is.
It's not that bad.
You say that. But we watched the most fucked up thing I've ever seen in my life at the start of the season.
I mean, maybe, but I told you that was going to be bad.
Yeah.
And you came out of it and you were like, that wasn't that bad.
It was still pretty bad, Ben.
It wasn't great.
So I'm choosing Romero films. I
Okay.
don't know what I have.
You did 1, which was, I think, Creepshow.
3.
3?
Yeah, what are we watching, Ben?
Knightriders.
Oh, fuck yeah! This is one of the ones I wanted to watch.
All right. It came out in 1981.
Okay.
Description. What if knights rode motorcycles?
I fucking... Oh my god. This is one of those films where just the premise alone makes me want to watch it.
It's so stupid, but
it's so
it's
stupid,
amazing.
but it's probably incredible.
you ready to be less excited?
Okay.
Length. 2 hours and 26 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, I'm okay, Ben. Like, I have coffee today. I'm chilling for real.
I'm gonna fall asleep during this movie.
No, I'm not.
No, I said I am.
Oh, that might happen.
Rated R.
Thank God.
IMDb gave it a 6.3 out of 10.
It's pretty good.
Tomato meter of 80%.
Damn.
And an audience score of 60%.
That is honestly higher than I expected for a stupid premise like Knightriders.
Yeah. Awards, 0 wins, 0 nominations. Notable actors. Ed Harris as Billy. He was also Gene Kranz in Apollo 13. John Amplis as Whiteface.
Hell yeah.
Played Ted Fisher in Day of the Dead. Gary Lottie as Sir Alan. Played Sanders in The Runestone. Tom Savini as Sir Morga. Played Mr. Callahan in The Perks of Being a Wallflower. Which is so weird that he was in that movie.
That's a very different film.
I know!
That's 2 very different movies.
Amy Ingerson as Lynette. Played a reporter in Splash. Patricia Tallman as Julie Dean. Played Barbara in Night of the Living Dead. Brother Blue as Merlin. Ken Forey as Little John. Played Peter in Dawn of the Dead.
I was about to say, he pulls a lot of the same actors. This is
yeah.
cool.
John Hostetter as Friar Tuck. Reese in Heartbreak Ridge. Scott Reiniger as Sir Marhalt. Played Roger in Dawn of the Dead.
Jesus Christ.
Martin Ferrero as Bontepi. Played Gennaro in Jurassic Park. That's the scummy lawyer.
Oh, I was like, who is this guy from Jurassic Park? Okay. I know what you're
Warner
talking
Shook as Pippin. Played Richard Grantham in Creepshow.
I was about to... Jesus Christ.
Randy Kovitz as Punch. Played Dr. Simmons in The Faults in Our Stars. Michael P. Moran as Deputy Cook. Played Frank the Doorman in Ghostbusters 2.
Oh my god.
Harold Wayne Jones as Sir Bors. Played Clank in The Crazies.
Clank's back after all this time?
Christine Forrest as Angie. Played Tabitha Raymond in Creepshow. Stephen King as Hoagie Man.
Stephen King is in this movie?
Got our friends.
Yeah, don't hit me with a yeah, they're friends.
Well, he helped write Creepshow.
No,
You should
I
know this by
know.
now.
But I didn't expect to see Stephen fucking King.
As the Hoagie Man.
Oh my god.
He was Jordy Verrill in Creepshow. Good bit.
Good bit.
Bingo O'Malley as Sheriff Riley. He was Rodney Bays Sr. in Out of the Furnace. And Joseph Pilato as disgruntled fair worker. He was Captain Henry Rhodes in Day of the Dead.
Rhodes is back too. Holy shit.
Yeah. Have you figured out where you know Ed Harris from yet?
No.
No?
No. I'm
I'll-
stupid.
I'll give you a hint, Bob. Where have we seen other actors from this season that are in this movie?
Well, Day of the Dead, of course.
What did I just say, Bob? What did I just say? I just said the words this season.
Oh,
and you
this
said
season.
Day of the Dead.
No, sorry. Hold on. Well, Creep Show.
Yeah. Ed Harris was Hank Blaine.
Oh.
That you were like, that name sounds familiar.
Yeah.
He's really famous. Aside from that, but we just saw him in Creep Show. Actually, we just saw a lot of those guys. I didn't mention the ones that were in Creep Show. They were in something else I thought you'd know, but
Yeah. No, that's crazy. There are so many people in this film that we've seen before.
yeah, I mean, he worked with a lot of people over and over again. That's kind of like the thing we know about Ramirez. He took care of his actors.
Yeah. It's super dope. I think it's really cool.
Writer and director George A. Romero. He also wrote and directed Bruisers in 2000. Budget's estimated at around $3 million. Unknown box office. Country of origin, United States. The working title was just Knights.
I don't hate that, honestly.
Tagline: the games, the romance, the spirit.
Good God.
Camelot is a state of mind.
Camelot is a state of mind.
Don't you fucking interrupt me again.
Sorry, I thought it was over.
All right. As far as facts go, it was filmed entirely on location in the Pittsburgh metro area, including the Fawn Township and Natrona during the summer of 1980. The film was originally conceived as a period piece, which would have portrayed the Middle Ages, and it was intended to do that in a fairly realistic fashion. However, Romero had just worked on a racing documentary, and was like, you know what? Let's switch this up some.
You know what, guys? You guys should drive motorcycles.
Actually, remember how I was making this realistic? It's still going to be realistic, but instead of horses, motorcycles.
That's awesome.
And then Romero has gone out and claimed that the medieval hobbyist organization, the Society for Creative Anachronism, is one of the inspirations for this film. So
That's
that's
cool.
all I got.
Okay, can I ask a question?
Yes.
You said box office unknown. Were you just not able to find anything solid for that, or what?
I just couldn't find a box office.
Like, anywhere?
Yep.
Like, do you have any facts about, I know you said you were done, but I'm just curious if you know off the top of your head. Like, release for this film? Like, was it in theaters, or?
Bob, I did these notes. What episode is this? 8? 7?
I don't
7. I did these notes 8 weeks ago. That
Oh.
is 2 months.
know. No, it's been 2
I remember
months.
Jack.
That's crazy.
But not in my notes. I don't know.
Okay. Sometimes you just know stuff, Ben. It's not
Yeah,
something to
sometimes I
ask.
do. But I'm also very, very tired right now.
No, that's fair. Okay. Well, we'll be back in a minute. We're going to go watch Knightriders. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. We just finished watching Knightriders.
Yeah. So, you like it?
Yeah. But we do need to preface this with the category was George Romero movies, and this is a horror movie podcast. This is not a horror movie, Ben.
Oh, no. No, it is definitely not a horror movie.
Which, I mean, like, I feel like we're being more lenient with what we call horror.
But it was definitely a Romero film, and it was one of the more famous Romero films.
True.
And I was
It was
kind of
also
like,
one of the ones you haven't seen.
yeah. I hadn't seen this one. I was thinking I had, but I think I've just seen a bunch of stuff from Knightriders
Yeah.
at, like, conventions and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and I just hadn't seen it. But I'm glad we watched it. It was very good.
No, it's actually,
I think it might be my favorite Romero film.
it's not my favorite Romero
I
film,
mean, don't get
but
me wrong.
it's very good.
Day of the Dead's really, really good.
It's true. It's my favorite movie of all time.
But this was just fun.
That's the thing. Day of the Dead, while it is a fun movie, don't get me wrong. I do adore that film. That movie is also horribly tragic and sad. It made me cry. This movie did not make me cry. It is very fun and entertaining.
Yeah. But before we talk about it too much, I think we should do our usual stuff. So I'm going to give a brief description, and then we'll get into talking about the film. But I'm going to just say this right now. Go watch it blind.
Mm-hmm.
I think so.
Oh, yeah.
I'll say this right now. It's, generally speaking, not necessarily too much happens, because this is a movie that focuses more on like the characters and their interactions rather than actual events. So, I mean, we could have this whole discussion and you could listen to it and be heavily spoiled and still enjoy the film. But definitely worth a blind watch.
Yeah, I'm so glad we watched it.
With that being said, what this film is basically there's this traveling band of Renaissance fair people.
Yeah, they're like performers.
And they're a pretty small troupe. They kind of go around what looks like the backwoods of probably the South. And they do like these small towns, and they'll set up in like open fields near them. They'll, just have a general Renaissance fair. But the big attraction for this troupe is that they have what I'm going to call Knightriders.
Yep.
But basically they have a whole, joust style like fair game. But instead of horses, they're riding dirt bikes.
Yeah.
Kind of the whole plot of this film is kind of these internal struggles between the characters as they've gotten to a point in their career where the troupe is getting pretty big, finances are a little iffy, and they've been around enough where everyone's family, but some of the personalities are starting to clash a little bit. So, I mean, that's about it. That sounds cool. Highly recommend you go watch it. With that being said, is there anywhere you'd like to start with this?
So, I think the coolest part about this movie, and we've sort of vaguely touched on it, is you come in, at least I came in expecting, okay, knights on dirt bikes and their motorcycles. This is going to be a fun movie. It's going to be like entertaining, right? It's going to be cool at least. Like, I expected the gimmick to be all this movie was. There's so much more to this film than just the gimmick of them riding like dirt bikes and jousting. Like, it's so much more than that, and I was not expecting that at all.
Yeah, I mean, you hear that, and you're like, that's all this film's going to be.
Yeah.
There's going to be no, I guess the word would be substance outside of the action sequences.
Yeah.
And, well, the action sequences are great, and we'll get into that in a second. They're honestly there to hold up the internal struggles and feelings behind the character.
Yeah.
And that's such a weird thing to think about. Like, you have these really well-executed sequences during the games. And, yeah, the focus of the film is on the action, but it's very clearly there to tell the emotions of the characters without, like, having them actually explain stuff.
Yeah.
Like, the way people are beating each other up or the lengths they're going to.
Yeah, a lot of the, like, emotional weight of this film is carried by the action. The action is like a device for the emotion, which is it's just so weird because I just didn't expect it. Like, I thought it was going to be a dumb action movie with like knights on motorcycles, but it's so much more than that.
Honestly, all the action sequences, while they're fairly chaotic, they kind of remind me of, if you've ever seen some more, I don't know, classic fantasy or like romance fantasy kind of films where they'll have like one-on-one duel sequences where the characters are having pretty like intense confrontations and like disputes during like sword fighting sequences.
Yeah.
That's how the action sequences felt. The one I'm gonna bring up here is you've seen Princess Bride, right?
Yeah.
What is his name? Emilio Montoya? When he's having the whole confrontation.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking
With
about.
multiple characters, obviously.
Yeah.
But they're having like that back and forth, and there's a lot of weight emotionally. That's how all the action sequences kind of feel.
Yeah, and it makes all of them feel so much more epic than they actually are because, first of all, it's a little goofy.
Oh, this whole film's goofy.
This whole film's
Obviously.
goofy because, like, everyone in the, like, traveling band is, like, they take it very seriously.
But it's
like
a traveling band of Renaissance people.
Yeah, so it's innately just a goofy movie, but it's still really fun.
With that being said, I think we do have to talk about just how good the action sequences are.
It's so good.
They have such an amazing group of like stunt performers.
Oh yeah.
For the bike riders. There's just generally, again, it's like a jousting kind of tournament style thing, except instead of horses, there's motorbikes. So you have people hitting each other while riding around. And, that's fairly impressive because it's fairly dangerous to be swinging sticks, even if they have, like, rubber mallets and stuff on the top at each other while driving it, 20, 30 miles an hour.
Yeah.
But what's so cool is there's so many like crashes and falls.
Mm-hmm.
People just slamming their bikes into each other. Lots of people flipping their bikes.
Yep.
Running into ramps, cars. Yeah. Basically any type of fall you can imagine on a motorcycle, they do in this film.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's all really impressive.
It's really impressive because some of them, there's a couple times we watched this film and I saw something, I was like, oh my God, that looks like that person got really, really hurt.
Yeah.
I think one of the earliest, like, really big falls involves Tom Savini's character. And he goes, like, I think it's the first flip we see. And you see his stunt rider, like, hit, like, neck first and bend backwards.
It's really fucking impressive. And it all looks really good. They, like, do a lot of really cool stuff like that. But there's also stuff where it's like, because, you know, the whole point of the jousting is, like, if you get knocked off your bike, you're out. Well, sometimes the bikes go a little loose after someone falls off and they keep going.
And they can hit people.
And all of that stuff looks really good, too. It's just the fact that the action sequences are so good and they're intertwined with the actual story and aren't just, like, action for action's sake. It's just, it brings the movie up on another level.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be honest. I was surprised by how much enjoyment I found out of it because logistically, it is an insane amount of this movie.
Yes.
Like, this movie is, I think, I don't know, maybe at least 50% stunts.
Yep.
And, like, bike riding sequences.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, you would traditionally think that's kind of boring.
I thought it was going to get stale. I thought I was going to be over all the bike riding by the time we got to 2 hours, but I'm not.
It somehow was not boring.
No.
And it still kind of awes me how weirdly entertaining it was.
Like, I'm stunned by the fact that I had such a good time.
Outside of that, just to get into something that I think worked really well, and I think it is kind of in the same lane as the whole bike thing, is they do a really good job of mixing some of the medieval and Arthurian stuff with the modern world.
You're more familiar with this than I am, but yeah.
I mean, so there's this whole, like, underlying premise that this traveling troupe is set up to resemble, like, the legend of King Arthur.
Yeah.
Right? It's like a whole undercurrent in the movie with, like, Billy, Ed Harris's character, being kind of the King Arthur fill-in. I think that's all really well done, but what I think's so interesting that the film does is it has the troupe, like Bob said, take all the medieval stuff fairly seriously.
Mm-hmm.
And so it makes what should be fairly goofy stuff seem rather serious.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, we have knights riding motorcycles, which only works because everyone is relatively serious about it. But I think the stuff that really stands out is the cultural stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, first of all, there's obvious stuff like people are wearing their costumes, like not in character, like not during performances.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is just their outfits. But more importantly, like how important Ed Harris's character is. He's the king of the Renaissance Fair, but he's also like the leader of this band of people.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like some really, really strong overlap between those two roles, both as like, oh, he's literally the king, and he's like literally the leader, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the best way I could describe it, and I think it was one of the really cool things about this movie, is the film to me, I think, did a really good job of kind of capturing the spirit of what I imagine life would be like for a traveling circus. Like, in a lot of ways, I got similar vibes from this movie that I got from Freaks.
Yeah, I wanted to bring that up.
And then I think it
point.
did a really good job of capturing, like, the behind-the-scenes stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's, I think, what really made this film work for me.
Because it feels real. Like, it feels really grounded in a lot of ways.
Like, the snapshot of this group's culture.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, getting back into it, I think that's why the fighting sequences work, is because they're not fighting sequences. They're performances, but performances that hold, like, a cultural meaning that we as the audience are getting, like, a glimpse into.
Yeah, they feel it. It feels like these fights have actual real consequences.
Because they do for these characters.
Exactly.
But not for the audience.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just really cool that we get to see that.
No, I just love how important the whole king thing is in the entire film, because it
Oh yeah, if you couldn't pick up, it becomes like a main point by the end of this movie.
yeah. And it's really, really fun to watch people like struggle with the fact that they are not the king, and that like they have to defeat him in combat. It's like a whole thing. It's really good.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say it right now. It's Morgan. So
Yeah.
Tom Savini's character, Morgan Le Fay. Again, getting into the Arthurian legend stuff, but he's like the best rider
Mhm.
essentially. So there's some clash between him and Billy from like a not even a aggressive standpoint, but more from like an ego standpoint.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think that's a great transition into the fact that the acting in this is great.
Oh, it's so good.
I mean, first of all, it's always weird to watch a bunch of Romero films and keep recognizing actors.
Yeah, we were doing that the whole movie.
Because there was a couple times we'd see an actor from another Romero feature, and it would just be out of the blue, we'd recognize them. It'd be like,
yeah.
oh my God, that's so-and-so, like 10 years later or 10 years before this role.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we freaked out when we saw Rhodes.
Yeah, he's not even in that much of. He's in like, I don't know,
10 seconds?
10 seconds.
But he looks so much
different.
younger. Or the big one was Clank is in this.
Yep.
And Clank looks so much better in this movie than he does in The Crazies.
Yeah, he looks more put together.
But the big thing I'm going to say here is I really love seeing some people who we don't normally get to see in big acting roles act in this film. And I mean, right off the bat, I think the one that I think Bob also really grabbed a hold of was Tom Savini.
Oh, yeah. No, he's great. He's fantastic in this film.
So Tom Savini usually has acting roles in a lot of Romero films where they work together.
Yeah.
You know, he's doing practical effects, and it's like, why shouldn't he grab a small role?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's fun. And I think Tom Savini generally does a decent enough job acting. But the big thing I'm going to note here is that more often than not, when Tom Savini's doing an acting role, it's fairly minor.
Mm-hmm.
And in this movie, instead of being like a fairly minor acting role, it's pretty large.
Yeah, he's basically the big bad. I mean, he's like the antagonist in a certain
Kind
type
of. Or at the very least, almost a deutero-like protagonist.
Yeah, like,
Which is wild.
it's cool. It's so cool.
But I don't know. I just thought that was really cool to see. I think he does a great job.
Mm-hmm.
It was a very good demonstration of just his acting chops.
For sure.
Because I was fairly impressed, you know. Who else? We got to see Christine Forrest.
Mm-hmm.
I think is Christine Romero.
Yeah. Same person, I think.
George A. Romero's ex-wife.
She does a really good job on this, too.
She does a great job. She's a grease monkey.
Yeah.
Which is really funny. But she has like a whole romance subplot with Tom Savini's character that I think works really well.
Yeah, it works.
Again, all those minor actors we've seen in other roles kind of coming through,
Yeah.
doing great. Loved Ed Harris in this.
Ed Harris is so good in this.
Honestly, I think Ed Harris is a pretty good actor. Most of the stuff I've seen him in,
Yeah.
he does a great job. But like we just watched him in Creepshow,
Mm-hmm.
and he had a very minor role, so it was really nice getting to see him in this film and like actually practice his acting chops,
Mm-hmm.
because he plays Billy as a very, very emotionally complex character. I think it's a trend for this film where they have very complex characters, but we have to learn about them through subtle means
Yeah.
without things being spelled out. And I think
Because if it was spelled out, it would take away from the like Renaissance action-y aesthetic.
but also just the realism of this film.
Yeah.
But point being, you have to carry roles like that on the backs of your actors.
Mm-hmm.
I think he did a great job, along with most of the other people.
No, there's just so much stuff in this film that happens where it's like I'm just not expecting it. Like I don't really want to spoil it, but there's like some like broken home stuff that happens that I was not expecting. That's really good. There's like some moral quandary stuff that occurs that I wasn't expecting, and it's just weird because the movie's called Knightriders.
Oh yeah, this film hits so many beats and does it so well, and
Then just moves on.
it really shouldn't have.
No,
This
it
is
shouldn't.
objectively, I think, a much better film than the actual concept, and it is
Yes,
wild in hindsight.
because it's the Romero classic of here's this cool concept, but then I'm gonna load as much stuff into it as I possibly can,
And he loads it hard.
and it's good, and it's really well
I think
done.
more than any of the other pieces we've seen, this is about people
Yeah, man.
interacting and like the relationships.
Mm-hmm. We even talked about it, but people do get injured in this film. Like, it's not like I said, it's not a horror movie, but there is like some blood and stuff and like some general dirt. Looks good. I like it. I think it helps. I think the people getting injured actually adds some real weight to this sort of thing.
Yeah,
Makes it feel better.
I will notice it's not gore.
No, it's like just blood.
But it is very specifically people are wounded.
Mm-hmm.
But it feels very much like the more dramatic style of wounds you'd see, and again, more of a medieval styled piece.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, this is a wound, and it's a big deal. And they do a good job of making everything feel like it has weight, because characters aren't just miraculously better.
No.
Like, if a character gets wounded, they are now wounded for the majority of this film,
Mhm.
and, like, they can get re-wounded in that same spot, and it can get worse. Like Bob said, it's mostly blood, and so there's some really, really, really well-shot sequences that
Mhm.
emphasize, like, blood dripping off a character. I think the best one is, there's a shot of blood dripping down a sword.
Oh, it's so good.
It's so rad.
It's so cool. That's another thing we haven't talked about. This movie's really well shot. Like,
Yeah.
lots of cool angles, lots of cool, like, unexpected, I don't know, like, action shots, if that makes sense. But just the cinematography in this film was really good, and I really liked it. It wasn't, like, traditionally pretty, but it was well constructed, if
Yeah.
that makes sense. Do you have anything else?
Not really, because, again, like I said, this film is better than I expected.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm not sure how to talk about it, because a lot of it was very subtle,
Mm-hmm.
and just like how the actors acted, everything that made it really good. So I think the last thing I kind of want to touch home on here, because we made note of it, and I just thought it was kind of wild to think about. But this film came out, what I said, 1981,
Yeah, which is crazy.
and it feels, first of all, it feels weirdly like 60s, 70s.
Yeah.
There's a nice little undertone of like kind of that hippie free love movement thing going on in the background. I mean, I think that has more to do with the fact that this whole band of characters are very much, oh, we didn't fit in with society, so we grouped up together to kind of live our dream. But the big thing I want to note is this film is weirdly progressive
Mm-hmm.
for
81.
the 80s. Heck, even for up to, what, the early 2000s?
True.
Let's think. There's a couple, like, gay characters.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them explicit and some of them implied.
There's a little person.
There's a little person who's just treated normally.
Yeah, he's just a guy. He's like one of the
They don't
helpers.
even point it out.
No.
There's some mixed race couples.
Mm-hmm.
That might be it. Oh, there's one of the Knightriders is a woman,
Yeah. And she's, first of all, she's really cool.
which is, you know, not always something you see, like a kick-ass woman
Mm-hmm.
in a film like this.
Rocky is pretty sick.
And also maybe a lesbian.
That, maybe.
I think that was implied, right?
I also think that was implied.
Anyways, point being, weirdly progressive, and it was just kind of, I don't want to say shocking, but like unexpected.
I didn't expect it, yeah. Because, like, there's this whole scene where one of the characters is, like, being asked if he's gay. And he's just like, yeah, I am. And everyone's like, oh, okay. And then they moved on. And it was like, nice.
Well, I don't think he was like, yeah, okay. I think
Well,
he
it
was
was
like,
like,
yeah, I don't know.
yeah, it was like a whole thing. But it's like, to see a gay character get, like, outed like that and then not mistreated was surprising.
And not hear anyone drop, like,
A slur or
An
anything.
F-slur?
Yeah, nothing. Like,
in the
actually
80s
nothing.
is weird.
I will say, the N-word does get used once in this movie, but it's in a, I don't know, interesting context.
Yeah. Not in the, again,
It's not, no one hatefully calls someone the N-word, but
It
it's
just-
like,
it feels weird coming into this film because we've seen films from the 80s and they're the exact opposite of
yes.
progressive. So seeing something that's not throwing slurs around is
Surprising.
interesting.
Especially in a Romero movie.
Yeah, that's fair.
There's some Romero, Day of the Dead and Dawn of the Dead, people just be slinging slurs.
Yeah. But
So
that's
it's
part
like-
of the cultural, like, context.
Yeah. But
Of
in this,
those.
it's, like, different because it makes sense also for this group of people.
Like, yeah, I mean, going back to that whole outcasts and whole
Mhm.
free love
So
movement
it's like-
kind of thing.
Cool, man.
It fits. It definitely fits.
It fits and it works and it feels natural. It doesn't feel like it's like forced for the message sake. It feels like, oh yeah, this is just how it would be.
Point being, good film.
Yeah, man.
I get why it's a cult classic for a lot of
No,
people.
yeah, like it's a very, very. It might breach my top 3 Romero films.
That being said, do you have anything else specific?
No, I
'Cause
don't.
I don't want to get into too much of the ending.
Yeah, I will say I don't know how much I like the ending because it feels sort of like it has to happen, not that it should happen.
Yeah, but again, there's a lot of foreshadowing in this movie,
Yeah.
and you can tell the ending's coming from like the beginning of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know how,
Yeah.
but you know it's going to happen. But again, that whole like faded kind of end, I think, is a reference to the whole King Arthur thing,
No, it definitely is, which is why like
and I think it's just really well done.
it works really well and it's cool. It's just one of those endings where I go, I knew it was gonna happen, so it didn't hit as hard as it could have.
But I think that's what makes it so good.
that is what makes it so good, is that it's set up from the beginning and you know. So I don't know. The ending is the only thing that I have maybe a small issue with, but other than that, I really enjoy this film overall.
I guess you want to do recommendations?
Yeah, man. I feel like Tom Savini, not even just like as a makeup person,
Just as a dude.
just as a guy, he's really good in this. Super cool dude, like so good in this movie. If you like other Romero films, a lot of actors from other Romero films are in this movie. So if you're into that, super cool to see them in other roles. Seeing Ken Foray just be Lil Jon the whole time, he was like,
Oh, that was
doing
so
stuff-
weird because I expected him to have a bigger part.
no, he was just like the
And he's
weapon
just
guy
there in the background.
Yeah, super cool. Like I enjoy seeing these actors come back from other places. If you like fucking stunts, this movie is chock full of stunts and they're all so cool.
Yeah.
I enjoy them.
I mentioned it earlier, but I remember reading that Romero was doing work on like some racing documentary before this. I wonder if he met a lot of the stunt actors doing that work
Yeah,
and then got him to do this film.
that'd be really cool.
Because again, those are very impressive, like
Oh, they're so impressive.
bikers.
Mm-hmm. If you're into the whole like Arthurian legend thing, this is a cool like spin on that.
Yeah, there's not too much.
But
Like
it's like heavily ingrained in the undertones.
not explicit, but there's some stuff there, and I do think having that knowledge makes it better.
I mean, they're fucking doctors literally named Merlin. Come on.
yeah.
Merlin is very good, by the way. We haven't talked about Merlin.
Oh,
He might be my favorite character.
he's just a crazy Louisiana guy.
with a harmonica.
Yeah. A real doctor, too.
A real doctor, which is the funniest part. Yeah, I think those are my recommendations.
All right. To be honest, big one right off the bat. If you like any of the actors in this film, I think
Yeah.
everyone does a great job. Whether that be like a main role actor here, like Ed Harris or Tom Savini, or even one of the minor actors we've seen in other films, John Amplis, stuff like that. I think everyone does just a great job. If you're looking for something that's like a unique spin on kind of a medieval film, you
Yeah.
know, I think this is like a really cool take on medieval fantasy or like the Arthurian legend. I thought it was really cool. But I think the big one is if you're just like a fan of Romero films or something that's really weighted in undertones and emotions,
Mm-hmm.
it's a great film for that.
Yeah, for sure.
And then stunts.
Yeah.
Just motorbike stunts are just, they're so
They're
cool.
so cool. There are multiple outtakes where it's me and Ben just going, oh my God.
Yeah. Rate it?
So I'm in a weird spot, Ben. I'm in such a strange location right now. Because I did say, I don't really love the ending that much. Like, I get why it is the way it is and why it happened and why it functionally works. But it's not my favorite.
I don't think they could have done anything else.
I don't think they could have either, and that's why I'm like, man, that kind of sucks. But this movie's really good. And, like, also, we haven't talked about it. This movie's 2.5 hours long.
Oh my God, there was a couple of points where I was like, how is this still going? I'm so glad it's still going.
No, but it's one of those movies where I got to the end and went, that didn't feel like 2.5 hours.
No.
Like, it's paced so well.
I'm exhausted. I was not sleepy at all.
No,
during
that's what
that
I'm
film.
saying. Like, it's entertaining and, like, I want to keep watching.
Enthralling.
Enthralling is a good word.
Yes.
I'm gonna give it a 5. I don't care. I'm throwing it. I like this movie too much. This
Yeah.
movie's fantastic.
I'm also going to give it a 5.
Thank God. I thought I was being crazy for a
Like
second.
I said, I think it might be one of my favorite Romero films. It's very different than something like Day of the Dead.
For sure.
Objectively, Day of the Dead is probably a better movie
I would say
in
so.
a lot of in a number of aspects. But this movie's just fun
Mm-hmm.
and lighthearted and I don't know, just nice
Yeah.
in a way that's hard to describe and also probably hard to capture. But I think they did a really, really great job of just jam-packing so much stuff into a concept that shouldn't work at such a high
Yeah,
level.
man. It almost reminds me of actually going to like a Ren fair and being entertained by like performers. Like that's just how the entirety of the movie feels.
But just a well-done Ren fair.
yeah, like it's just so cool, man. I was heavily surprised by how good this movie was.
With that being said, though, I guess we're going to go to outtakes.
Yeah. We'll see you guys in a minute. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the outtake section for this episode of Beware the Board. I hope you're enjoying our review of Knightriders so far. I really like this movie. I think it's super duper fun. But without further ado, let's get into the outtakes. This first clip is Ben making a really stupid joke at the start of the movie. MGM.
They call him Ngum.
That was stupid. That was really dumb. This next clip is Ben and I's reaction to one of the first stunts in this film.
Oh!
That was fucking awesome!
Holy shit! That was a real dude, though, and that was concerning. Like, did you see his, like, neck and everything?
Yeah. This next clip is proof that I need new glasses. How is that guy an anti-Semite?
Are you being serious?
I don't understand, Ben.
No, are you legitimately being serious?
He was just a bald guy.
Okay.
Why are you marking that? I'm not going to put it in.
Are you being serious?
He was just a bald guy.
You saw the giant swastika on his forehead, right?
Was that a swastika? Hold on. Oh, I guess it was. It was a swastika. I'm just used to them
and that's
being,
why I clipped it.
I'm just used to them being wider and taller, and it was real crunched up.
It's a poorly drawn swastika, okay?
This next clip is our reaction to seeing Rhodes from Day of the Dead in this film. Oh my God, it's Rhodes.
Oh my God.
Yep, that's
Rhodes.
Yep, that's exactly what I was thinking. Bro.
Oh, holy shit.
Holy shit, he looks different.
He's so, like, skinny.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the outtakes. Do we have any announcements, Ben?
No.
I didn't think so.
So, as usual, check us out wherever you get podcasts. Spotify, Apple Podcasts. If you're listening to us there, please leave a rating or maybe a quick review. That really helps us get recommended to other people on those apps and platforms. You can also recommend us to a friend if you think someone else would enjoy this podcast.
Yeah.
Because that's just kind of cool. Otherwise, we're on YouTube, which, while not the best place for audio-only content, has a couple tools you guys can use that might be helpful. There's a bell button, which can notify you whenever we post something new. There's a search feature, which lets you search key terms in all our videos, such as movie names, lets you know if we've covered a specific thing. But the big thing with YouTube is that it's one of the two major places to communicate with us at. You can do that in the comment section of a specific video. You want to talk to us about something in that episode, or you can go over to Twitter at Beware the Board and, see if you can maybe challenge for the crown. For Bob.
Do I get to be the king?
King's a strong word.
We could be co-monarchs. Benjamin. We
Two
can be
kings?
co-kings. 2 kings. 2 kings with no... 2 kings with no servants. Just us.
We're very poor kings.
Like Ben said, check us out on Twitter @BewareTheBoard. It's where we post updates about the show, information about the show. Basically, if there's anything you know about the show, it goes on our Twitter. On Mondays, I post a spoiler post for that Friday's episode, which is a hidden movie cover that you can reveal, so you can watch the movie before we do. So when you listen to the episode, you don't get any spoilers, and we're being vague about stuff. You know what we're talking about. Then on Fridays, or whatever day an episode goes live, I always post a link to the episode. So if you want to know when something went up, there's always a link there. Last thing, check us out @BewareTheBoard on TikTok and on YouTube Shorts. We do short form content for the show. We've been getting a lot of support over there, so I really appreciate it. Once again, if you like short form content and like the show, check us out @BewareTheBoard on TikTok and on YouTube Shorts. Ben, I think that's it.
All right. Well, we'll see you guys next time.
Yeah, we'll see you guys next time.